Welcome into Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, here to break down the latest rumors around the Dolphins, and our first one is not one that I really thought we were going to have to talk about this year. That is if head coach Brian Flores is on the hot seat entering the 2020 season. Comes to us from CBS Sports' Jason Lockenfora, who's not that good, if we're being honest. The inclusion of Flores here doesn't really make much sense. Now, Lockenfora claimed that, regression could happen this year, and it might. That's certainly plausible. He also implied that, hey, there could be some culture issues for the Miami Dolphins, which also, they won a lot of games last year. I know they've released some players quickly, and that's a bad thing for a culture, I guess, but the results kind of speak for themselves. Now, here are 5 of the names that were on this CBS coach's hot seat list. David Culley, Vic Fangio, 2 names that do kind of make some sense. Mike Zimmer was on there. I don't mind that one. The 2 weird names, if at least for my opinion, Matt LaFleur and also Flores, which again, I don't know about that one. The first 4 names, by the way, were Matt Nagy, Mike McCarthy, Zach Taylor, and Cliff Kingsbury. Those 4 names make a whole lot more sense for me. As for the Brian Flores side of it, I don't get it. I've been very impressed with what Brian Flores has done in only 2 years, admittedly, but after an initial 5-11 campaign that unquestionably exceeded expectations. That Dolphins team was in the midst of a rebuild. They were supposed to be the worst team in the NFL. They won games they weren't supposed to win, finished the year with 5 wins. 2020, they're ahead of schedule again. 10 wins, they go 10-6. Is regression possible? Of course, it's life in the NFL. It's always going to be harder the next year. At least it normally ends up being harder the next year. So even if they win like 8 games or 9 games, sure, that's regression. It'd be a disappointment, but it's not fireable. Let's say bottom out and win 2 games. Why would you fire Brian Flores? And if that's the case, then every head coach is in that, except for like Bruce Arians and maybe Andy Reid right now. Like, if a coach goes 2 wins, they're not going to come back in almost all cases. And I get that there's pressure around this Dolphins team right now. As good as they were last year, surprisingly, they're banking on better quarterback play from Tua. There's a lot of pressure right now on Tua and kind of sort of on Brian Flores as a result. This is supposed to be a good Dolphins team. This is supposed to be a Miami squad that can compete, if not outright win the division, and make the playoffs for coming up just short last season. So I get that there are expectations, and sometimes teams respond differently once those expectations are in place versus being the underdog. So get your votes, and then I'll give my comments here. How hot do you believe Brian Flores' seat is right now? Get your votes in. Rate this for me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being Flores shouldn't be on the hot seat at all. 10 being I think it's scalding, and it's Super Bowl or bust in 2021. As for my take, I don't think Brian Flores should even be remotely on the hot seat right now. Though the job that he has done in his first 2 years, I think has been one of the most impressive ones in the entire NFL. He was a head coach of the year candidate along with Kevin Stefanski. He has been incredible for the Miami Dolphins. And the one issue I've had with Miami for years now is they lacked stability. They would fire their coach after 3 years. Adam Gase, Joe Philbin, Tony Soprano, Nick Saban kind of falls in that category. Last time the coach made it for five full years was Don Shula. Dave Wanstead got through 4.25 or 4.5, whatever it was. So the stability has not been there in Miami. I think you have a good GM in Greer, a good head coach in Brian Flores. After years of changing one, keeping the other, and then vice versa, the Dolphins have landed on some reliability and some stability. I think you keep Brian Flores. Give him some more time. He's shown way more promise than all the other coaches have so far, at least in recent memory, for Miami. Now, if you guys want even more Dolphins videos, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way, when our videos come out almost every single day, you can watch it with us. We can break down all the rumors, the news, the trades, the drama around the Miami Dolphins. So if you want more, join us. Hit that big red button right now. Could the Miami Dolphins sign Tre Boston? Fan-sided pitch this idea out there. And although a lot of the names and teams linked on that list didn't make a lot of sense, I actually think there is some rationality behind Tre Boston and the Dolphins. For starters, Look, they released Bobby McCain. I didn't mind that move. They did bring in Malik Hooker for a visit. I think the medical didn't check out, by the way. Didn't check out for the Cowboys, for example. Boston would provide great depth at the safety position, and Boston has shown he can start in the NFL, which, as we'll get into, might actually be a negative for Miami. In 2020, Boston has the Panthers' free safety, 95 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. The pass production did dip, 4 pass breakups, 1 interception. He was still fine, though. Is he prime Earl Thomas? No, of course not. Can I name 30 better free safeties in the NFL? Maybe, but I think 30 is kind of pushing it. I think he's a starting caliber safety even as he ages. In 2019, 11 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Now, I have long suspected that Tre Boston is one of those players that I think fans and media value higher than the actual NFL. It took him a long time to actually get paid. That was a bit of a weird thing with Tre Boston. Eventually got paid by Carolina. And I think his release and lack of signing shows that the NFL just isn't as high on him. I think Tre Boston wants to start. And I'm not sure that's going to be a very high possibility for the Miami Dolphins. My concern is that because the Dolphins have a lot of players who can make a positive impact for you, not even to mention Jason McCourty, who's kind of this corner safety hybrid, not on here, Javon Holland, they want him to be the starter free safety. Eric Rowe has shown he can play some key snaps. Brandon Jones, young, promising. Trill Williams has drawn some positive reviews in his move to safety as well. So the Dolphins have all of this talent in the secondary. Corner, safety, a lot of it. Boston's a safety. McCourty could play safety if needed as well. Because of that, I'm not sure what the role ends up looking like for Tre Boston if he were to sign. He might want to go somewhere where there's more guaranteed playing time, and thus in the long run, another chance at a contract, or at least a bigger contract. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to sign Tre Boston? I've got interest. At worst, he'd be a great backup veteran presence. Get your votes in for me. Type in Y for yes, you want to go get Tre Boston, or you can type in N for no. Now, I do think Javon Holland has a very real path to being this team's starting safety. I do think that could end up being the case, and that he can emerge as a go-to option early in his career after opting out of the 2020 season at Oregon. But he's a rookie. Sometimes those guys aren't instant impact players, especially when they opt out for an entire season. So the upside is there, but if Holland is slow to adjust going back, remember he was a nickel corner in 2019 for Oregon, if he's slow to get back under his feet, they might look at a veteran. The issue is they have a veteran already who can play safety. That's Jason McCourty. Now, he is a corner safety hybrid. He's done both across his very impressive NFL career. He brings that veteran presence. So I'm a big Jason McCourty guy. I think at minimum, that's great depth. He slots in and handles that role so well for whatever role it ends up being. He's proven he can do it across his NFL career. So because Jason McCourty is on the team, I'm not convinced necessarily that the Dolphins need to go sign Tre Boston. If they want to, awesome. But they don't have to, especially if Boston wants more money and a bigger role elsewhere.